Good morning and welcome to Cincy Lifestyle. We sure do appreciate you checking in with us during this holiday season. Mona, good morning.
Good morning to you, Clyde. This is a good day because this is the day before New Year's Eve. And so what I did this morning, Clyde, I put out on over my shoulder a hint at what I'll be drinking tomorrow night. Yeah, tea. Tea is what I'll be drinking tomorrow night. What about you, Clyde?
Mona, excuse me, but tea was what you drank last night. I mean, I don't.
And
okay, Happy
morning.
New Year. Yeah, I know, right? Happy New Year. Probably for me, water or a Diet Coke. I don't know. Hey, Mona, I got a question for you. You know, they say the eyes are the mirror of the soul, but what about the eyebrows? What do they tell us about a person? Well, in this one particular instance we're going to show you, they tell us she has, number one, a sense of humor.
No way.
And number two, some great connections to people who know how to draw on her face. Look at that.
That is amazing.
Okay, now wait, but it's not only the eyebrows, it's kind of like her nostrils and that sort of thing.
Right. Because she's making the skirt move. She made the skirt move. I saw it. There we go. And her feet. Oh, my goodness.
So
that's amazing. I love that.
So the question is, Mona, what do you do? How expressive is your face? Could you do that?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. My face is. I can't hide anything with my face. If I can say one thing, and people will know by my face if that's not what I'm feeling. So, yeah, I have a very expressive face.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my mother did too. Oh my gosh. Fortunately, she was blessed with an angelic child, so this rarely happened. But there were, there were a few instances when Mom got mad at me, and I'm telling you, her face was an interesting mask of parental concern. And it was her eyebrows. Her eyebrows and eyes were the most expressive. Mom doesn't have really big eyes except when she's mad. And then, by the way,
well, Clyde,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask you, can you move like one eyebrow up at a time? I have people in my family that can do that, and I have tried, but I can't. They're connected. It's like with one goes up, they both go up.
I can do it. I can do it with one eyebrow more than the other. I was just trying here while you were talking about it, so I can do that one eyebrow, but the other one comes and goes. Now, the other thing is I cannot flare my nostrils, and my daughter, my younger daughter, can, and she just drives me crazy with it. Dad, can you do this? No, I can't.
I can. I can flare my nostrils pretty well. And you know what, Clyde?
I've seen you.
You know
do
something
that.
else? You know something else that'll flare your nostrils? Bourbon. Bourbon. It sure
Boy, that
will.
was a transition. Boom.
And when you think about bourbon, deep tradition and classic wood-crafted barrels probably come to mind. Well, there's a local distillery in Ludlow, Kentucky that is shaking that image by looking to the future rather than the past. And Allie, of course, stopped by Second Sight Spirits to learn how this beeline destination came to be.
Okay, right now we are at Second Sight Spirits, and my fortune is about to get told, right?
Yeah, maybe. It's not going to be right, but I'll tell you something. See bourbon in your future?
Tell us what Second Sight Spirits means.
The name Second Sight just references having visions of the future. When we were starting our company, being a distillery in Kentucky, we realized that we didn't have the 150 plus years of heritage as like our friends down south. We didn't want to name our place after a location because we've been self-funded up to this point. We were so small, we were afraid we'd have to move in the first 5 years. And then we're just not related to any cool dead people.
Fact.
Yeah, no, yeah. So we decided to look to the future because that's kind of a great universal. Yeah. We're all thinking about our next steps and what we want to do. And we thought if we could make it more about our customers and maybe have some interactives to engage them on a certain level about the future, we can make it more about them instead of about us.
Self-funded co-founders Karis and Rick have been lifelong friends. Rick has a background in mechanical engineering and Karis industrial design. Together, that led to careers on the Las Vegas Strip, creating two of the world's largest shows, Cirque du Soleil's Love and Viva Elvis. Fast forward to 2012, they decided to hang their show hats, move back home, and start the distillery after many years of trial and error in their basements.
The way Rick and I work is I'll come up with ideas, and this was a whole napkin sketch. And then I gave it to Rick, and he's like, you can't do that, because we were saying like the condenser is always like usually in a sleeve and you can't really see anything. Or like if we can make it visible and you could actually see the worm, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And so Rick, I thought about it for about 2 weeks, and he just came back and he's like, this is how you do it. I'm like, all right.
Rick's a good friend. Rick is a good friend to have if you want to build something cool.
Yeah, I get us into trouble, he gets us out of trouble. It's a good balance.
The designer versus the engineer.
Yeah, he's like, don't do that. I'm like, okay.
The business began with rum. Now it's evolved to Karis and Rick producing 6 rums, 1 bourbon, a hazelnut liqueur, and a series of moonshines. The space itself lends a hand to music acts, artists, and entertainment, and its circus, futuristic vibe sets them apart on the Beeline and Bourbon Trail. Pipeline dream is what for you guys?
We'd love to become like a regional destination.
Yeah.
To pull more people in from all over, figure out more ways to engage our audience, and just become kind of that super cool urban legend, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've been to Ludlow, but they got this thing.
It's way out of whack. It looks like it's staring at me.
It's true, yeah, because I think that's what makes it more memorable. And again, if we can make it more about our guests, the better off we are.
I see success in your future.
All right.
Well, hey, thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, this has been great.
Now time to test some bourbon. I swear I haven't had any bourbon. That's a wrap.
Sure, Allie, tell us anything. Hey, beautiful views, decadent dinners, and plenty of activities to take part in. Now, this may sound like a cruise, but actually it's something better. It's the Kenwood by Senior Star, and we had the chance to hear from some residents about why they chose to spend their golden years there. Take a look.
We knew that at some point we wanted to move into a senior citizen living area because we just want to be independent as long as we can, but we didn't like the upkeep of a house and getting on ladders and doing gutters and that type of thing. So we lived for quite a while on a high-rise on the river, and we loved the high-rise concept. So we looked here and we found some models we liked and put our name on the waiting list. And when it came up, we moved.
We looked for safety, security, and when we toured the place, it was the pristine cleaning, obviously, that was going on here. It made us feel very comfortable, especially, this is even before the COVID.
We also came because of the food. We came a couple times for dinners, and we're very impressed about the food, the presentation. As COVID has evolved, they now have opened the dining room for fine dining. We have the option of doing carry-out bistro items, which is delicious from the deli. And we can always have anything delivered all day long, 3 meals a day if you don't want to go out of your room.
She always tells people it's a cruise ship on land. I'm stealing her comment with that, and it is. We've got a sheet telling us almost every hour things are going on. So I think we're both getting a very enriched environment here. From my own perspective, I love the Diane Shields lectures. That's a classic. Things I never learned, you know, in my many years of education, I'm now being exposed to through that. And there's 1 or 2 movies essentially almost every day going on 7 days a week. They have happy hour several times a week down in the Marquee Theater. It brings people together, and they can interact with each other because everybody's in the same boat.
During COVID, I'm the one that loves to do all the activities, and early on the activity department rose to the occasion, and they provided virtual activities in the Marquee Theater. They had exercise with Arabella. They have Tai Chi for relaxation. They have piped in musicals. And you can Zoom it in your room or you can go down. You would be wearing your mask and be protected, but you could do all those activities. Well, since COVID, we've done things a little differently, but we've been very, very pleased with how the Kenwood has managed the COVID, and they've done things safely. We've invited friends to come in and move here, and they have, and we highly recommend the Kenwood.
There hasn't been anything that hasn't been done with the appropriate safety precautions, compliant with those guidelines, because we know the repercussions that could occur. They have supported that, we have supported them, and we're very happy with how things have evolved and look to have those things behind us in the very near future.
So, if you'd like to learn more about the Kenwood by Senior Star, visit online at kenwoodbyseniorstar.com or give them a call, 513-399-5953. Mona?
Clyde, the Cincinnati Museum Center at Union Terminal brings science and history to life with all kinds of exhibits that educate and entertain. But not far from the Union Terminal is an entirely different side of the museum that most people have never seen. The Geyer Collections and Research Center is where scientific work is conducted across multiple departments. Everything from dusting off dinosaur bones to performing DNA analysis. On our first trip behind the scenes, we learned about the fascinating subject of vertebrate paleontology. Today, we met with Dr. Heather Farrington in the Department of Zoology to learn more about the Geyer Center and its role in zoology.
The Geyer Collections and Research Facility is where all of our collections and laboratories are housed here at the Museum Center. Zoology is just the study of animals, so zoo is the first part of that, so it's all animals. We have 3 spaces at the Geyer Center. We basically have a prep lab and DNA lab where we prepare specimens and do our DNA work. We have dry collection storage, and we have the fluid collections, which are specimens that are stored in alcohol. These specimens are collected to give us an idea of when and where organisms are occurring in the environment. So these are really great reference collections for looking at changes over time. For example, we have a lot of freshwater mussels, and we can say 50 years ago, before we had all these locks and dams, what was the biodiversity like in our rivers and what's it like today? We can look at invasive species. When were invasive species first detected and where? Endangered species, are they more or less abundant? Have they gone extinct locally? If we find that there is an endangered or protected species in a particular place, then development could be impacted. You don't want to build a strip mall on top of an environment that has a lot of endangered species in it. We can also look at the impacts of past building projects. So we can really look at these time series and get an idea for how biological communities can change over time. So when an animal comes in, it's typically frozen until we're ready to process it. And basically it just involves taking out all the soft parts. So you're taking out all the muscle, all the organs, any of the bones that are inside the main body cavity, and you're basically just drying the outside, the skin. We often open up the digestive tract to look at what the animal's been eating. We look to find any injuries, like CSI for animals. We get tissue for the DNA lab. We get skeletal material, so if anyone wants to study bone structure or density, they can look at that as well. And then we get all kinds of information on coloration and things for feathers and plumage and fur. So we get multiple specimens from every animal that comes in. In the DNA lab, we typically do DNA sequencing. So if you have multiple species of butterflies, for example, you can actually sequence the same piece of DNA from all these different species and assemble them into a tree, almost like a family tree, to see who's most closely related to who and look at those evolutionary relationships. We can also do something called DNA barcoding, where we can sequence a piece of DNA from an organism and tell what it is if we're not sure. We can do things like parentage analysis, where we can try to match up animals with their parents or siblings in a population. And we can also look at how our populations are doing. Are they genetically diverse? Are they doing okay? Or are they starting to suffer effects of inbreeding or population decline? So we can look at all kinds of really interesting things with the DNA. When the museum reopens, we also want to put an emphasis on the research that goes on here at Geyer, including the DNA lab, to let people know what really goes on behind the scenes here that they don't get to see in a typical museum visit.
Fascinating. Coming up here on Cincy Lifestyle, did you know the guy who invented the fly swatter was from Cincinnati? Yep, that's just one of Dr. Crumbine's many accolades. We'll dive into his life and legacy in another one of those Cincinnati curiosities. Stick around, be right back. So how about this for cool? How would it be to have a TV character based on you, especially one who's beloved because he saved lives just like you? Well, there was a Cincinnatian who moved west, saved lives, and inspired a character on a TV Western. His story is a Cincinnati curiosity you've got to see. Remember old Doc Adams on TV's classic Western Gunsmoke? That character was partially based on a Cincinnati doctor who became a pioneer in public health and sanitation. His name? Samuel J. Crumbine. Thanks to Dr. Crumbine, we have the fly swatter, the public service announcement, paper towels, and disposable paper drinking cups. Crumbine was born in Pennsylvania. His father died in the Civil War, and Crumbine attended a school for military orphans. He expressed an early interest in medicine and apprenticed at a pharmacy in Pennsylvania until he earned an opportunity to attend the Cincinnati College of Medicine and Surgery. While he studied medicine in Cincinnati, Crumbine vacationed in the Wild West and bought partial interest in a Kansas drugstore. On his visits, Crumbine saw a great opportunity for new doctors and located to Dodge City in 1888, earning his medical license in Cincinnati. Business was good. Crumbine quickly gained a reputation as an opponent of patent medicines and folk cures of dubious efficacy, such as sassafras tea, alcoholic potions, and concoctions made with mercury and other poisons. He also noticed environmental conditions that made his patients sick, including polluted water, clouds of flies following horses and livestock, as well as ignorance of basic sanitary habits. Tuberculosis was Crumbine's first target. Through his effort, Kansas outlawed common drinking cups, which greatly boosted sales of disposable Dixie cups and related brands. He had a Dodge City brickmaker create sidewalk pavers that read, "Don't spit on sidewalk." These bricks are collector's items today. He campaigned against the then common roller towel in restrooms and lavatories, urging adoption of disposable paper towels. Crumbine is perhaps most famous for his campaign against the common housefly. This catchy slogan, "Swat the Fly," gave its name to the newly invented fly swatter. Crumbine used any method available to spread his health messages, including brochures, posters, newspaper advertisements, cartoons, traveling exhibits, speeches, recipes, lectures, visiting nurses, and books. He even encouraged vaudeville singers to promote his message in song and comedy sketches. Crumbine also warned against misleading labels on food and drugs. Today, the Samuel J. Crumbine Consumer Protection Award is given annually by the Conference for Food Protection to local health officials who demonstrate unsurpassed achievement in providing outstanding food protection services to their communities. Wow, what a story, right? And right now, I want to welcome the man behind these curiosities, Greg Hand. Thank you so much for calling in and being with us on Skype today. So let's just dive right in with why it's so hard to get people to wash their hands. It's a simple task, right?
You know, back then, even doctors were resistant to this idea. There's a famous case where a forward-thinking doctor was trying to get his hospital to mandate washing hands, and the head of surgery said, "Doctors are gentlemen, and gentlemen's hands are clean."
Oh, good to know. Good to know that as a patient, right?
Yeah.
So how was it that Crumbine came about inventing the public service announcement?
You know, the thing that's amazing reading about Crumbine is he was a very observant person, and he noticed that he could talk until he was blue in the face while he had a patient in the examining room, and they wouldn't pay any attention to him. But they would come in telling him things that they saw on stage at the local vaudeville theater. And so he went down to the vaudeville theater and gave out scripts to the manager. And so the manager would say, you know, we're going to have the Dog and Pony Show up next. But in the meantime, here's a message from Dr. Crumbine, and would read this announcement. And that was really picked up by a number of people, and that's the origin of the PSA.
And so were any of these messages based on Cincinnati and his experiences here?
In fact, all the evidence is that this kid from Pennsylvania, from this orphanage in Pennsylvania, when he came to Cincinnati, discovered a new passion, and that was baseball. And so as he went out to Kansas, in addition to spreading his messages about public health, he was very active in seeing that baseball had its place in the state of Kansas. And it was watching a game one day when they were talking about swatting a fly that he thought, now there's a catchy phrase. And so it was going to the Cincinnati Reds baseball games that led to the swat the fly message that made him famous.
That is fascinating. Well, Greg, thank you for sharing this. And if folks want to get more of these Cincinnati curiosities, how can they find you?
Google Cincinnati Curiosities and you will find the blog.
All right,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
And we'll be back with more Cincy Lifestyle on the other side of the break. Plus, Cincy Lifestyle has full episodes up on YouTube. You can find some fun segments you've never seen before, or you can watch your favorites again and again. So subscribe right now on youtube.com/Cincy Lifestyle. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us. Make today a great day.
Thanks for watching our video. If you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button. You can also check out full episodes of the show you've never seen before, or watch your favorites again and again. And as always, make it a great day.